Hi, I'm here today to talk about tactics. How do you pick tactics and which ones you should use? So first let's talk about what are tactics. Tactics are any form of action that have been deliberately chosen with the aim of influencing one or more opponents. Social movement groups and activists actually have a lot of agency to pick their tactics, and you want to be really careful about the tactics that you pick, because you obviously want to have the best chance at influencing people who hold power, like the government, the president of your university, other things that you want to change or people you want to convince. So you want to be very careful about picking tactics that highlight the best things of your group and make it most likely that you'll get the change that you want. We tend to think of protesting as the quintessential social movement tactic. And there's actually, though, lots of other, less contentious tactics that groups can use. For example, on the very low end of contentiousness, you could do things like sign petitions or boycott a product, so encourage people not to buy from a certain brand because they use sweatshop labor. And then tactics range all the way up to the most contentious tactics, including things like protesting and marching, but also things even more contentious than that, like occupying a building or using sabotage. So how do you select which tactic you're going to use? It would be very easy if there was just one best tactic. So I could say everyone should go out and protest because that's the best tactic. But actually, the tactic that's the best really depends on who you are as a group, what you want to accomplish, and who your opponents are. Charles Tilly, who's a very famous scholar of social movements, told us that the strength of a movement can be determined by looking at its worthiness, its unity, its numbers, and its commitment. So WUNC, W-U-N-C. Now, every group wants to show that they're worthy, they're united, they're numerous, and they're committed. But let's be frank, you probably have more of one of these things than the others. So you want to pick a tactic that emphasizes what you have and de-emphasizes what you don't. So, for example, let's say you're interested in creating recycling bins at your school, your high school or your university. Probably there's lots of students who care about the idea of recycling and think that it would be great if you had more recycling containers. So you have a lot of numbers. Your numbers are very high. But quite frankly, you probably don't have that many people who are so deeply committed to your recycling container goal. No one's going to die for a recycling container. So you have to pick a tactic that emphasizes your numbers, but doesn't ask so much of each individual member. So maybe you do a petition. That might be a good idea for your group. You show that lots of people care about your cause, but you don't ask that much from each individual member. Let's say, on the other hand, you have a very small group of activists, but they are deeply committed to your issue. So perhaps your concern is violence against women on your campus. There are not potentially a lot of students who are really deeply concerned about that, but you have a small group of people who care a lot about this issue. So you might choose to do a small but dramatic act. Perhaps you'll camp outside the president of your university's office until she or he deals with the issue of sexual assault on campus. With a tactic like this, you don't need a lot of people. 5 people camping out on someone's lawn is going to make quite a statement. But you do need people who really care a lot about your issue in order to have them take the time and the energy to actually participate in this kind of dramatic act. Another thing you really want to think about when picking your tactic is the issue of innovation. You want to make sure that your tactic is in some way novel because you're trying to attract attention from the public and from the people that you're trying to convince to create this social change. So if you had that petition for your recycling bins, and you got a lot of signatures and you gave it to the president of your university or the principal of your high school and nothing happened, you can't just go back and get more and more petitions and keep doing the same thing over and over again. You're going to have to innovate and do something different. So maybe you decide what you'll do is you'll collect all the recycling cans that would have been recycled if you had those bins you wanted, and you'll pile them up in a big dramatic display. This is going to re-attract attention to your cause and make it more likely that people pay attention to your issue. This is what Doug McAdam calls tactical innovation. You need to innovate and change your tactics over time in order to keep that attention and increase your chance of getting social change. So good luck.